video. This one is so exciting. I genuinely had so much fun making this. So every summer, my town does like a little fair and I look forward to it so much. I love it so much. Right before COVID, I entered a piece I made for the first time and I ended up winning first place. And I love it so much. I actually have the ribbons hanging up in my room. And really when I feel very low and down on myself and I feel like, oh my gosh, I'm horrible at sewing, I look at them and they make me feel better, to be like, hey, to give you that confidence. But then since COVID hit and stuff, I haven't really entered stuff in the fair. But this year I decided to. A big motivation is if you enter something, you get tickets to go to the fair. So in my mind, I'm like, win-win. Now I don't have to pay $8 to go. I get in for free. So I decided to upcycle this pair of curtains that I thrifted into a dress. The fabric of it really gave me a more older vintage vibe. So I tried to make kind of like a princess gown, very modest, like a long skirt. And I convinced my friend to do it with me, and we both ended up winning ribbons, which is crazy because I literally did the dress probably a week before it was due and even finished it the day of, which was crazy. I was like, hey, you know what? It's done. What can I say? At least I did it. And then I went to see it and was like, mind blown. But yeah, so let's jump right into how I made this dress, and we can see it at the fair. And of course, me trying on the dress. So let's jump right into this curtain upcycle dress video. I first began by separating the tapestry flower fabric and the white jersey lining fabric. I seam ripped open the first few stitches, but then I was able to just tear them apart with my hands, and I did that for both of the pieces that I had. Starting out with the bodice, I wanted a sweetheart neckline, so I cut out 5 pieces with a center front piece, 2 front side pieces, and 2 back pieces. And then I repeated the same thing for the white lining and also a cotton lining, so that way I could sew the boning onto that. And then I sewed all the bodice pieces together, so I had a total of 3 bodices. Since I knew the dress would be heavy and I wanted to give the bodice some more structure, I used boning along the seam allowances on the white cotton lining bodice. I doubled up the boning channels to help make those areas stronger, and then sewed down both the left and right sides of the channels. Once all the boning channels were secured, I connected the bodice pieces together, right sides together, and making sure that the boning bodice would be sandwiched between the white jersey and the tapestry bodices, and then I sewed along the top edge. I made sure not to insert the boning pieces in yet, so that way they wouldn't get caught on the needle. Using a candle, I melted the corners of each boning piece to stop it from poking through the fabric because they are kind of sharp right now. I used to use a nail file to help sand down the edges, but this is so much quicker and takes a lot less effort. Before it was very, very tiring. The only downside is that I actually wear sunglasses when I do this because staring at the flame for too long really hurts my eyes. With the corners melted, I inserted the boning pieces into their channels and marked where to trim them down so that way they would not interfere with the waistline, and then also melted those ends down so that way they could just slip right in and be perfect. Now, for the skirt, I cut out 5 rectangles that reached the floor since I wanted the skirt to be floor length, and I repeated these 5 rectangles on the white jersey fabric as well, so that way I could give the skirt more volume and also just make it a lot more softer and comfortable to wear, since the inside of the tapestry fabric wasn't very nice. I then connected the 5 pieces for each skirt to make it a giant rectangle, and then I serged down the seam allowances and the raw side edges to make it a lot cleaner. Next, with my trusty hand sewing needle, I gathered the top edge of both the skirt rectangles. You can do this with a sewing machine, but I always just feel a lot more comfortable just doing it myself with a running stitch. Then, with the right sides together, I connected the tapestry skirt to the tapestry bottom of the bodice, spacing out the gathers along the waist. I like to use the seams from the different skirt panels and connect it to the different bodice panels so that way it's evenly spaced out. And then with the jersey skirt, I connected it to the bodice with the white boning and sewed that down very slow and steady, making sure my gathers were even and securely sewed. On the back of the dress, I folded in the raw edges on the sides, also making sure to fold up the waistline raw edge on the white jersey bodice. And then taking my zipper, I pinned it along the sides and marked where the zipper ending would be, and then sewed up the back ends of both skirts up to where that zipper marking end was. Once the zipper was sewn and the back of the dress was complete, I hand stitched on a hook and eye closure at the top of the zipper to help make it easier to zip up, and then I hemmed both the white jersey skirt and the tapestry skirt. And then back with my hand sewing needle, I did a quick whip stitch on the inside to secure down the white bodice lining to the skirt, making sure that the stitching wasn't visible on the front of the dress and that the raw edge along the bottom was tucked up securely. With the fabric I had left, I cut out 2 puff sleeves, and then I sewed down the sides together to make it into a tube. Going to my serger, I serged the top rounded edge of the sleeves as well as the side raw edges, and then folding down the top edge of the sleeve, I created a tunnel to insert in some elastic to help give it that gathered puff effect. After cutting out a piece of elastic that measured around the top of my shoulder, I used a safety pin to insert the elastic into the channel and secured it down. On the bottom of the sleeve, I did a rolled hem to tuck in the raw edges, and then using my elastic again, I cut out a piece the width of my bicep and sewed it down to make it into a circle. And then with a zigzag stitch and stretching the elastic evenly, I made the bottom sleeve have a puff ruffle detail. Taking the finished sleeves, I sewed them down to the top of the bodice, and then I decided that I wanted to add some more detail, so I used a pink ribbon to cut out 3 bow details, one for each sleeve and one for the center front of the bodice, and then I hand stitched them down. Since I added in the lining skirt, my dress was very heavy and I wanted to add some more support around the shoulders, so using the same soft white lining fabric, I cut out 2 long rectangles, and then I folded each rectangle into fourths to tuck in the raw edge and help make them sturdier. After sewing the strap closed, I sewed them down on the inside of the dress, making sure that they would be hidden within the puff sleeve. I then cut the straps down like the extra of it, and I zigzag stitched the ends to help stop them from fraying. Once I finished up the inside straps, the dress was complete and ready for the show.